So if you guys know me, you know that we spend a lot of time working behind a desk as games developers, as animators, and working from home just makes it worse, which then makes me feel very much that for my setup, I need to find ways to basically change things a bit so I'm not constantly on the same position working. And I have here made videos about really good desks, really good chairs that you can get in order to improve your setup. And now I found something else, a walking pad. Now this is the very first time that I try one, and I had plenty of friends that have some, and they told me great things about it, and I always thought it was not for me. And in this video I'm going to share my experience with it over the last 3 weeks and why I think it might actually be for you as well. So without further ado, let's get to it. Alright, welcome to this video and thanks for being here with me. Now, before we go ahead, this video is sponsored by FlexiSpot here. However, I did mention to them that I was going to try the product and I was not going to make a video if it was not going to fit my routine, because I was not sure if it was going to actually be good enough for me. And turns out through this journey, I found that this is actually incredibly useful. So this is why I'm making this video. This video is my opinion, unfiltered, good or bad. Now, why a walking pad or walking treadmill, as people say, actually even matters in this day and age. Now, I have spent like 20 plus years in the games industry, as you guys know, and most of it has been sitting down in a desk for a long period of time. And if you know me and if you've seen my content early on in my career, early 2000s, crunch was just a thing that every studio would do. So spending more than 8 hours sitting down every day eventually takes a toll on your body. So my body, after so many years of working in game dev, started feeling achy, painful, and the more you do it, the more you realize that is a problem, especially as you're getting old. So first thing that I tried, and it was in studio, was a standing desk. And it was amazing. It was amazing to be able to actually stand up from sitting down and actually feeling like you can move around and do things. The second thing that I did, I actually got a balancing board because I thought that was better, and I saw some reviews and turns out amazing, right? I actually got the balancing board after trying a standing mat, and it was way better because you can move your hips, you can actually kind of move around as you are standing. Mine has a little ball in the middle, so it has one of these guys here. Like, I cannot genuinely like stay still for too long. Like, I'm always doing this kind of stuff, and what this does is then put my hips in a place where they are always moving from side to side, which then allows me to stand for a long period of time. And this is really good. Link below if you actually want to get one of these. Relatively cheap, really well made. After standing up and sitting down for so long, what I realized is that there's only so much movement that you actually can have on a balancing board, which means that even though you're trying your best and it definitely feels better and you work much more in your core, your body still feels slightly stiff. Now, when FlexiSpot reached out for us to actually collaborate on a video, I thought it was absolutely perfect for me to try it out and see if this would fit my lifestyle. So going to my first week here was really interesting because I spent quite a lot of time trying to get used to my standing, my board, my balancing board. Now, I thought I was going to go through the same thing here, but there was a new element to this. What happens is that walking and working, it's kind of like, it felt almost like incompatible, because if you think about it, standing or sitting, you are static, right? As you work, because you need to think about what you are doing. And actually having to make this movement of walking while you're actually thinking, it became such a huge thing in my brain that it was difficult to focus on both, which then meant that I had to put this walking pad in the slowest speed possible, so I could basically walk really slowly so I can then focus on this. And for a second there, I thought maybe this is not for me because I feel like I'm not capable of doing it. However, you can see on YouTube, so many people are using them and they're using them successfully. So I'm no different. So let's keep on going through this to see where we're going. So by the end of the week, I could actually walk and think and work well, but I just couldn't do it really fast, right? Now, beginning of the second week, that's when things became a little bit more natural when it comes to the walking and working. And then I could actually start amping up the speed of the pad. Now, right now on the third week, I'm actually at speed number 2, and I can actually think fully and walk fully. What I found out is that as you move about, as you actually kind of like working and stuff, by the end of the day, especially if you do it gradually, your body feels much more loose. You know that feeling when you actually go to the gym and you've done a bunch of like, you know, like stretching and stuff, and then you feel much more nimble. That's the feeling that you get by the time you finish walking here. And if you do it like maybe an hour or two, sit down and then do another hour or two to start with, you start to see those benefits kind of like creeping in. And it's going to be gradual, it's going to be slow, but there's definitely benefits there. And because the pad can actually kind of achieve such high speeds, you always have room to grow as you work and walk as well. Okay, so what are some of the pros and what are some of the cons that I found with this pad? Pros is definitely the speed. It goes from like a crawl really slow, which basically allows you to onboard onto this really easily, and then it goes into like from 0.1 or 0.5 I think it is until 6. And right now, as I mentioned before, I'm in number 2 at the moment. In 2 I can actually walk and think and do, and I'm hoping to actually kind of go into a little bit faster. But as you might see from the b-roll, when you get to a number 6 or so, you actually are pretty much running or walking really fast, which, you know, feels like power walking almost, which to me at the moment feels really unnatural. But just so you know, this thing is super sturdy and can actually take a beating, because I was running on top of it and there was no cracking, no noising, no nothing. It was really good, so really well put together. Now, the second pro is that for its size and thickness, it's actually relatively light. It's not super light, it still has heaviness, it has heft to it, and it's going to be tough for you to move it around, but it's light for what it looks like. It looks like it's going to be much heavier, because you're most likely thinking about a treadmill that normally incredibly heavy and all this stuff. This is actually super light for what it is, but it's not the lightest thing ever. Third pro is quiet, and number 2, where I'm at right now, or lower speeds, you can have a meeting, you can talk with somebody, and not really having it super loud in your ear. It feels quiet enough that you can have a conversation on a microphone. My microphone is noise cancelling, but even if you have a regular microphone, I highly doubt that you'll be able to get the sound of this, because it's quite quiet as it goes. Now, if you go up to about a number 6, then you can definitely hear it, and that sound of a regular treadmill just kicks in, where it becomes quite loud. And fourth pro, and it's not so much about this, it's about the consequences in your body, is that your posture as a result is going to be much better. Because this, what I found is that you cannot really cheat it, because when you're sitting, you 100% can cheat. And I made a video way back about the posture, the chair that I got. I'm pointing here because my chair is here, and you can definitely kind of like slouch into your chair. And here, even standing as I am right now, eventually when you stand for too long, you have a tendency to just go, now I'm relaxing, and then, you know, you just slouch as well onto, even though you're standing, you're still slouching. Now with this, because you're constantly walking, you're catching yourself, there is no cheating. So you just have to walk and be straight as much as possible. Now the cons. The first con is that it doesn't fold, and I think the reason why is because FlexiSpot, this is one of the cheapest ones that you can get here in the UK. It's just a little bit over £100. Most likely in dollars going to be about $150 maybe, and I think it's one of the cheapest ones that you can get. And as a result, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles in terms of lightness or foldable and stuff, but for the price and the way it works, I think is a lot of bang for buck, especially if you want to try it out. Now, the second con is space. You need space to move this around. I have it here right next to me, so I can actually just like basically stand up and then move it around. And you'll see me putting it under the desk and stuff like that, but you still need space to move it around and put it under the desk and all these other things. Third con is that you need a standing desk in order to use one of these. So if you don't have a standing desk right now and a good chair, I highly recommend you guys getting those two first, and then getting this as an addendum to it. Fourth con that I think I didn't thought about it, but it made sense, is that you still will get tired, and you will get more tired than standing. So I think you need to be in a position, in a mental place, where you genuinely think that you're ready for a little bit more exercise than usual, because you will feel more tired for the first week or two as you worked with this. And even though you're just walking, you're walking for longer and longer, and you don't necessarily notice it. However, this thing has a timer, so whenever you click it and you actually start it, because it's just a remote control that you keep on your desk, right? It doesn't have any buttons. You just forget about it. So my third week now, as I'm walking, I'm forgetting about how long I have. So it feels really good to basically be able to like gaze down, see how long you have, and then just go, too much. But it's also programmable, where you can actually say, you know, every 2 hours or every hour stop, and then I can go back to sitting again. So lots of options there, and it helps you a ton. So how do I use it in practice on a normal 8-hour day? So for me, I normally start by sitting down, because I feel like I have to focus in work. I have to find out what I'm doing before I actually start doing anything. I'm thinking about different ways that I can actually work. Now, this is normally the first 2 or 3 hours of the day, and then I decide, do I want to stand or do I want to walk? And this really depends on the day. Most days I normally stand, especially in the beginning. I recommend you just stand, just so you can get used to the idea of standing. And what happens with standing, especially with the balance board, is that once you start moving about a little bit, you realize that you want to do more, perhaps, right? So it's at that point that I realized that maybe I'm going to bring this guy over and then put it under my desk, go in, click the button, and then start walking a little bit more. That's basically the sequence that I use to get in the mood to do this. And then I normally walk for an hour or two, set a timer, make sure that I push it a little bit. Once I feel tired, I normally put that away, just like you see here, and then I grab my desk, put it down, sit down, relax, and allow my body to properly relax. Towards the end of the afternoon, if I feel like I still have energy, if I feel like it hasn't been a day that has been super intense, and I feel like, you know, body, mentally, I'm still capable of doing it, I might do another hour or two, and then I'll put it away again. The whole idea, for me at least, is important for me not to be exhausted while I work. It's important for me to be comfortable while I work. So for me, it's really important to know that my energy levels are in balance, and this is an addition and not a subtraction from my energy for the day. And I know that it takes time for us to build energy over time, just like when you exercise. So most likely next week I'm going to be better, and the week after I'm going to be better. But the idea is for me to add more energy to my day, to my feeling, and to be able to be a bit more mobile, because it's kind of weird the way we work now, when our body is meant to be in action and movement and all these other things, and we spend all this time just sitting, doing nothing. And it kind of worries me, especially as I'm getting older. And I think this is a really good addition. If you feel slightly guilty of not moving for a long period of time, then I think this is the best way for you to start exercising, even if a little bit, and get that body moving, get those joints lubricated a bit more. All right, so final thoughts. Thanks to FlexiSpot for sending this for me to try out. I'll definitely be keeping it. I'll definitely be using it. I hope you guys are feeling excited as I am to be using something like this. And if you do, and you want to get one, definitely check out the link below. I get a little bit of kickback from the sale of any one of these, which helps the channel, as you guys know. And if you do use one, if you do buy one, let me know down below in the comments about how do you feel about this. Would you recommend it? Would you not? It would be awesome to find out, not only for me, but for other people watching this video right now. And that is all I had for you guys today. Until the next one, stay well, stay safe. Peace. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful, go ahead and hit the like button. If you super enjoyed it, leave a super thanks. It's like leaving a little tip, and it directly supports the channel. If you haven't already, subscribe and turn on post notifications so you can continue to see my videos and get your weekly dose of betterness.